Hello friends, family, and internet strangers, Stephanie here, and this is another What's for Dinner video. This week was all about using up ingredients I already had, so cleaning out the freezer, cleaning out the pantry, that's what you're going to find in this week's video. Let's get into it. First up, this is something that had been in my freezer for a while. It was this chicken cordon bleu. It was from Aldi. I had gotten it thinking I would love it, and it was good. I just didn't use it for months. So I had a sweet potato that was about to go bad. I threw that in the air fryer, and then when it was time to throw the chicken cordon bleu in, I threw it in right with that, served it with some frozen broccoli. Really easy. Also really easy. Let me know in the comments if y'all do this down below. Let me know. I will sometimes just not want to cook dinner, but also not want to get takeout, and I'll have a bag of frozen vegetables. Does anyone else do this? And that is your entire meal, is a bag of frozen vegetables. So on this particular night, I was having one of those nights and I thought, you know what? I'll just have this bag of Brussels sprouts, but I'll at least put a little bit of flavor on it. So I threw a bag of steamable Brussels sprouts into the microwave and cooked them for 1 minute less than what was on the package because I knew I would be putting them in a pan here. So I just did a little bit of oil, a little bit of garlic, tossed these around in them, and then I seasoned them. So I used my corruption seasoning. If you are new here, I always have it linked down below. I picked this up on a road trip from a place that had been on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives called Uncle Lou's Fried Chicken in Memphis, Tennessee. And this I use to season pretty much everything. So I always have it linked down below, as well as the video where I picked it up. But if you've been around for a while, you know all of that. You have seen me use this, and thank you for your support if you've been here for a minute. Now, after I seasoned that, I just tossed this around, let it absorb up that seasoning for a little bit, and then threw it in a bowl. And that was dinner. Super easy on the budget and super easy on timing as well. This whole thing took me less than 5 minutes. So they were very tasty with their garlic and seasoning. Next up, we've got some mac and cheese. I really wanted boxed mac and cheese on this particular night, but I didn't have any. I did have all of the ingredients to make mac and cheese from scratch though. So I threw some butter in a pan, melted it down, threw a little bit of flour in, and then it goes in the milk and seasonings. So I really didn't measure. I just kind of looked at it and thought, well, I'll stop when it looks like it's going to be enough sauce. And then I season this. When I do mac and cheese, I generally season it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and then I'll also throw a little bit of paprika in there. And then sometimes I'll spice it up with something different, but those are my go-to spices in general for pretty much everything. Salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder are gonna do the trick, but paprika is nice in that mac and cheese too. And then once I've got all my spices mixed in, I'm gonna add my cheese. And again, I am not measuring my cheese. I am just throwing it in there until it looks good. I had a Mexican blend cheese to use up, so that's what I'm using in this one. Again, just using what's on hand in this video, getting rid of some ingredients out of my fridge and out of my pantry. I also had some pasta. It was rotini that I had gotten from Aldi, but it was like a red lentil rotini. It wasn't bad. I don't know if I'll get it again, but it wasn't bad. It worked out well for getting the job done with this mac and cheese. So I threw that in the pan. I realized I needed a little bit more milk. That's the good thing about mac and cheese. You can always just add more of something. And even if you add too much seasoning, sometimes I'll just add more liquid and a little bit more cheese, and then that'll balance out the seasoning if I have seasoned it too heavily. But I normally put my seasonings in a little bit slower. Once my pasta's all done, I drain it, I put it in with the cheese, toss it around a little bit. I served this with a little bit of frozen broccoli, again trying to get those frozen veggies out of my freezer because I had bought a lot and hadn't used a lot. So got that broccoli on the side there, and this was a very tasty meal. Next up, also really simple and really cost effective, good old grilled cheese and tomato soup. I don't like tomato soup. I will only eat tomato soup if I am dipping grilled cheese in it. If you also do that, again, let me know down in the comments, because there are some things that I know that I am weird for doing this, but I'm curious if anyone else is like me. So I will do a can of tomato soup. I do 1 can of the soup and then 1 can of milk. You could also use water, but when I was growing up, my family always used milk, so that is what I use. And then I had found this garlic herb butter spread on sale at the grocery store and had not used it yet, so I decided, oh, I'll make my grilled cheese a little fancy. I'll put garlic herb spread on instead of regular butter. So I butter up all of my slices of bread and throw them down in a skillet, put some cheese on top. I had planned on having grilled cheese months before this and hadn't. And then I finally was like, I need to use up this cheese before it goes bad. Tomato soup would have lasted significantly longer. At least cheese lasts a long time. So that's always good to have on hand. And then I throw the tops on to my sandwiches there. And I did get a little distracted here. And by the time I flipped them, they were a little bit burnt. You can see when I flip it, it does look black, but it did not taste burnt. And the other side I got perfect, but I think the spread made it darker, so it wasn't really burnt. It was that the spread did not necessarily look the best on there since I had used something other than plain butter, but it did taste good, and that is what matters. Presentation for me is never going to be an A+, although this plate does look pretty nice. So I served this with my little bit of tomato soup for dipping. I had this a couple days and also served it with a salad. I make salads in bulk. I'll make a really large bowl of salad to take for lunches to work for several days in a row. I didn't get video of this though because I didn't realize just how good it was going to be. This is a buffalo chicken salad. I took some of my salad that I already had. I had just a little bit of chicken to use up. I threw some flour and corruption seasoning and a little bit of cinnamon on it. And then I tossed it in that, threw it in the air fryer until it was done, tossed it in a homemade buffalo sauce. My homemade buffalo sauce was butter, hot sauce, and garlic powder. 3 ingredients, super simple. This tasted so good. It had croutons in it, some crispy onions, and then some cucumber, carrots, and bell peppers, and it was so good. I wish I'd gotten it on video. And then the same week that I had bought the stuff to make grilled cheese, I had also bought sloppy joe mix and tomato paste because I wanted sloppy joes, and I only get bread so often I don't use enough bread to buy a full loaf. So I was going to make grilled cheese on hamburger buns and then have my sloppy joes, and then it just never happened. So I ended up going to the grocery store. I like to, if I don't know what I want for dinner, I'll just go after work to the grocery store on the way home, and I will go in the meat aisle and see if I can find any of those reduced stickers for the things that are gonna go bad soon, but are still good. And I had found these Wagyu ground beef things for $2.99 for a pound, and that is a great deal in my area because meat prices are getting so high right now. So I picked up 3 of them and threw them in the freezer. So that is what I used to finally make my sloppy joes. I used some of the sloppy joe mix. I used some tomato paste and water. Really simple. This is how I had sloppy joes growing up. I know a lot of people grew up with it in the can. And when I went to college, there was a day that I really wanted sloppy joes, and I would cook for my roommate in addition to myself. And she was like, oh, I hate sloppy joes, but I really wanted them and I was the one doing the cooking. So I made sloppy joes, and she had never seen it done this way with the fresh ground beef and the tomato paste and the water. And it turns out it was really that she didn't like canned sloppy joes. These she enjoyed, so they became a regular item that I would make, just like they were a regular thing that I had growing up. but these are really cost effective when your meat is not too expensive, because those little packets are less than $1 for the seasoning. Tomato paste, also less than $1. And this particular night, I didn't feel like putting these on a bun, so I just ate Sloppy Joe mix with potato chips. And I do like to dip the potato chips in the Sloppy Joe mix. Next time I try this, I may make like nachos out of it. If that sounds like a good idea, let me know. Maybe I'll try that next time. And for the last meal in this video, we've got some chicken pasta. I love these pasta sides. This is the Aldi brand, but you can get whatever brand you like. I always have usually the chicken kind and the cheddar broccoli kind on hand. At this point, I had already used up my cheesy broccoli one. I had that in a previous video. I will find that video and link it down below. And then I will show you how I fixed up this one. These are good to eat on their own, but I've been trying to add a little bit more to them now when I make them, so usually chicken and a vegetable. So I had made this according to the package instructions, and then towards the end I added in pre-cooked chicken and peas and a little bit of heavy cream, and then some seasoning. I add in a little bit of onion powder and a little bit of garlic powder, but that just gives it a little bit extra protein, a little bit of green in there as well, and those are things that I already had in my freezer that needed to be used up anyways. So chicken I buy in bulk. Since I am only cooking for myself, it's so expensive to get individual servings of chicken, so I buy the big family packs from Aldi, and then I will either freeze them raw, or what I've preferred to do lately is cook a large batch of them in the Instant Pot, which I will show in an upcoming video how I do that. But I cook a large batch in the Instant Pot, and then I cut it up and freeze it that way. So I just threw it in the microwave before I put it in here, and then threw the peas in for about 1 minute less than what they needed, since I knew they would cook up a little bit more in the pan, and then added my seasonings, and that was that. This was really easy. Another one of those meals that comes together in about 10 minutes with stuff that is already around, so it helped me to use up more of just what I have, because I really want to clean out everything in my pantry and start fresh, get some new groceries in there. I served this with a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top, and that just made it absolutely perfect. Really easy, very fast to do after work. Definitely recommend. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, and if you did, you'll give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.